Alisha was my older sister. We were the only two children of my mother and father. There were no other siblings, so we grew up together, just two girls. Alisha was always on the wilder side. She gave my mama, she gave her a hard time. She pushed everything to the limits, I guess, but Alisha was that kind of girl that when the guys were doing something and trying to figure something out, she was going to get in there and get involved too. She wasn't just going to sit back with anybody else, the other women on the porch while men were doing something. She was like, well, you were jackhammering, you were doing something on a dozer or a bobcat or whatever. Well, I'm going to get in there and she's going to help. She's going to learn and figure all that out too. And so Alisha did what, any young woman would do. And she met a great guy, and she got married in her early 20s, and she had two young boys, and she was living a great life. They bought 13 acres of land. They bought 4 plans for a chalet, and something you would see in the mountains, and they built that on the hill on their 13 acres of land. And how could she, what went wrong? She had the perfect life. She had 2 boys. She was a stay-at-home mom. Her husband supported them, and she had everything that she wanted or asked for. So, where did opioids come in the picture?
I mean, we did everything stay-at-home moms do together. We spent our time together during the day. Our husband's works. In 2003, my father was dying of cancer. And somehow she had already started hanging out with some old friends from high school, and some things that already become questionable. Possibility of stealing my father's pain medication came into play. A huge family feud broke out. My father passed away that summer, and I had to bury him alone without my sister because she wasn't allowed at the funeral. It was quick. Her behavior change was quick. Everything just all of a sudden turned so quickly. It was just a downward spiral from 2003 on. My brother-in-law divorced her. He got full custody of my nephews. She lost everything that year. She lost her husband, she lost her boys, she lost her home, she lost everything. Her whole life changed, everything changed. She was married again for a short time, married to another man. But her life was just so different. There wasn't enough structure or stability to get even hardly get her boys anymore. Eventually, she didn't even get to see them. If she came over, I had to spend time beforehand. I had to hide money, I had to hide jewelry, I had to see if there was any medication in my home that I would need to put away that she might want to take from us, It became such a hassle to even try to have a relationship with her. I want to say 2009, 2010, there was an instance she stole money from one of my children. And I kind of said enough is enough, and I couldn't deal with that anymore. Alisha pretty much didn't have anything to do with our lives for those years on until 2016. We would Google her name to find mugshots just to know she was alive. And every now and again one would pop up and we would have relief because we would know that she was alive. I guess for the most part I had kind of already told myself that my sister had passed away. It had been so many years since I talked to her. I had let her go. I didn't even tell new people I met that I had a sister. If I did, I probably sounded like anybody else that spoke of people in active addiction. Probably didn't say anything nice. She came home in 2016. She gotten sober. She hadn't done it through a program though, she'd done it on her own. Stubborn and independent. And she called me on my 38th birthday. It was my 30th birthday. And we talked for hours. And she told me that she was back and she was in Knoxville, and she had been here for a few weeks, but she just didn't have the courage or the nerve to call yet, and it took her a while to call. I'll never forget, I just sat in a Wendy's parking lot talking to her on the phone because I had just pulled into Wendy's to order food. And in October, I saw her again for the first time. She looked so different, but she was different. She was coming out of 14 years of active addiction. She was different. She was traumatized. She had PTSD. She was suffering from anxiety. She was battling so many demons every day in her head. She was suffering. But she was trying so hard to come home to family and be here and be with us again. She was trying so hard. She had the stress of finances. She had the stress of being homeless. She had the stress of having nothing and having no insurance to work a program. She wanted so bad to be sober, and she wanted so bad to be a part of her family again. She did not want to use. She did not want to crave another fix. She tried. She started dating a boy again very quickly, and they got an apartment. And it was good. It was good. He was a sweet boy, and he didn't use. He was a sweet boy. Thanks to some very sweet people, were able to furnish it for him and get on all the stuff that they needed so that they had a home. And Alisha started focusing on trying to get her boys back in her life and sobriety and trying to work. Her past still haunted her. She still had warrants. She still had, financial debt everywhere, and she just still had demons. She still had demons every day. She eventually relapsed. And when I mean someone who had been in active addiction for 14 years, and as they relapse, heroin. She didn't want the guilt of relapsing, though. She couldn't handle the guilt of relapsing. She didn't want to let us down. She had let herself down. She had let us down. She couldn't deal with that. And she didn't want to relapse. She didn't want to live that life. She didn't want to use. She didn't want to wake up every day and have to use. And she didn't want to feel that. The last time I spoke to Alisha was on January the 29th of 2017. She called me that Sunday afternoon. And she said, "Sis, I have to get all my stuff out of the apartment." Of course, since she started using it again, Eric did not want to continue a relationship with her. And I don't have anywhere to go. And I said, "If you'll give me till Saturday, when John and I are off again, I will come get all of your stuff and I will put it in storage for you." But, I didn't know what else to do to help her. I didn't know what else to do to help someone in active addiction, and I had children and I couldn't take her into my home. And I just told her just to hang tight and wait on me till Saturday and we would figure something out. And on Tuesday the 31st, while her boyfriend Eric was going to work, she completed her suicide. It was not her first attempt, but it was her final successful attempt. She was my best friend for so many years. I didn't understand addiction, and I didn't understand where her mind was when she was using. My sister was such a smart girl. She was so intelligent. She was just a victim of something that got a hold of her. She fought so many demons and she lost her battle, and that's why I have nothing but such a huge amount of respect for women that can fight this. Women and men that can fight this and recover. because it takes a warrior. It takes an absolute warrior to beat addiction. As Christ followers, as servants of Christ, they're due our help. They need help, and they need respect, and they need a second chance. I hear her words. I hear her say, "Sissy, I have nowhere to go." So if I can just give one person somewhere to go, if I could just give one person somewhere to go and give their chance at sobriety, just give them a chance. They deserve that chance.
After my sister's death in January 2017, I prayed on the altar continuously for God to, I needed purpose. I needed to understand why she had to go, and I needed for her death not to be in vain. A seed was planted at the time, again, before I bought my home, but after my sister's death, in that season of life where I was praying a lot. I was mourning and grieving. I was standing at church one night, and God used a fellow church member to come up to me to let me know that there was no sober living homes in Sevierville. There was nothing in Sevierville to help women after they come out of rehabs, after they come out of incarceration. They go back into the same environment that they came out of. That as a church, we needed to do what we could do to make a difference. I took that home with me that night, and I didn't know what I was doing with it, but it has always been it's been encouraging. This has been encouraging to me, but I didn't realize that God was using that night to plant the seed. Alisha's Legacy is a ministry that God laid on my heart in 2017 after the loss of my sister. Is a passion, an extreme passion that I have, and a dream that I have to be able to give something to women that I couldn't give to my sister. I had no intentions in 2017 of buying a home, but God's plans are greater than ours. He took me down a road one day to a home that had multiple different outings between our garages and apartments. I think God works from here backwards, and apparently years ago the man that owned this property had intended this to be a one-car garage, and in the last minute changed his mind. It never became a garage. He built a 285 square foot room with 4 windows and a front door and stopped there. And I just think that's where God knew that he had plans for that 285 square feet one day, much greater than a garage. At that point in time, I didn't know why I was buying the house. I didn't know why God was pushing us to do what we were doing. I didn't get it. I was getting ready for work, and God made it all very clear of why I was supposed to be buying the property of where we live now. And it was just all of a sudden clear as day, the vision in my head of that little 285 square feet on the back of that property was going to be a sober living home for women. It was a home that Alisha greatly needed, and would have made all the difference in the world in her attempt in sobriety. A sober living house is an interim step in the path of sobriety for a recovering addict. A sober living house is vital, I feel, in the success of recovery. Gives a safe place for someone to go to after they have completed a program, to avoid going back into that the place they came from, where they used, where they were subjected to the things that caused them maybe to want to use. A sober living house will give them a safe place to go to, where it's an environment for an individual to attempt to maintain a substance-free life. It can make all the difference in the world in an individual's lifelong journey of sobriety. Just that one place to go to after working that program versus coming back out and going back into that same situation they came out of. The little house, it will be a peaceful, a supportive, a safe environment for women coming out of rehab, possibly incarceration. I want a woman to be able to focus on the program she's working, and most importantly, her faith. A place to call home. Again, no financial stress, no financial burden. A place to focus on what their future holds. Where will they start over again? Just a place to put their foot back on the ground and say, where's my new life? Where do I go from here? Without all those obstacles that were in their life before. I didn't understand how only being able to help one woman at a time was going to make that much of a difference. It's only 285 square feet. I can't house more than one woman at a time, and I want to give her ample opportunity to get her feet back on the ground and get started back in life again. So I'm figuring probably yearly I'm only going to be able to help, 3 on average women a year. If you figure maybe 4 months at a time. I kind of thought, man, I want to be so deep and so involved in helping women in recovery. How am I really going to make a difference with just 285 square feet? And a very godly woman asked me if I had heard of the starfish story. I hadn't, and it made all the difference in the world of my outlook on what I was doing and my faith in what God was using John and I to do. The starfish story reads, an old man was walking down the beach one morning after a storm. In the distance, he could see someone moving like a dancer. As he came closer, he saw that it was a young woman picking up starfish and gently throwing them into the ocean. Young lady, why are you throwing starfish into the ocean? The sun is up and the tide is going out, and if I do not throw them in, they will die, she said. But young lady, do you not realize that there are many miles of beach and thousands of starfish? You cannot possibly make a difference. The young woman listened politely and then bit down, picked up another starfish and threw it into the sea, and said, I made a difference for that one. It has been very encouraging for me to realize that even if it's only one starfish at a time, that I can make a difference for one at a time. It's been slow progress. I assumed after closing in June of 2017 that it would just be so fast. God had plans for that place, and they were great plans. And Sevier County needed sober living for women. January of 2018 came and went, and the sweet woman in the church had given us a $100 donation, and I wanted to make sure that money went into the house, but we weren't ready to do anything quite yet. So the first thing that we did with that was replace the posts on the porch and built 2 flower beds. That was our first little house project, was to beautify the outside. I needed to bring life to it. I needed to bring beauty to it. And then it sat. And I often ask God, why aren't they coming? Why aren't you sending laborers? Why aren't you, where are the funds? What are we doing? These 4 walls and 4 windows and a front door have to have a kitchen and a bathroom and flooring and a closet, and there's so much that need to be done here. Well, you showed me these plans, now what are we doing? It was just very still. Nothing happened for a very long time, and that was okay. That's where I learned to wait on God and trust Him and trust His timing and trust what He's doing. 2018, not much happened. 2019, not a whole lot happened. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 months, it's the work down there has just been exploding. I mean, the help, the donations, it's unreal what's getting done and how close we are to finishing now. I did want to sanctify the home and cover it in God's Word. So under the flooring before it was laid, there are multiple Bible verses. Scripture is important to me, God's Word is important to me, and the little house is covered in God's Word. The little house will be absolutely every step of the way to glorify God and what He's doing in the lives of women who will enter there and what He will do to change their lives, but it will also be in memory of my sister who lost her battle with addiction. There will be a tribute to her hung there, so that women that come and go there know that they're warriors and that they're absolutely blessed for how far they've come, because not everybody makes it. I do not expect anything financially from the women staying down there. every time I think about that, God just tells me no. So I will have to help feed someone for a little bit until they get on their feet. I will have to provide some toiletries, and so I'll need to always provide some toilet paper and some laundry detergent so they can go to the laundromat, and some food. Those things will always be needed. I'll always be grateful for anyone that can help.
It took me 2, almost 3 years to read my sister's letter that she left. It was something that I didn't know if I would ever read. But I had a copy put away in case that I ever decided to, if I ever needed that closure. And I read Alicia's letter. And I don't know, this doesn't necessarily speak on the little house, this just speaks on behalf of my sister. Because I've promised 2 things with the little house. 1, it will glorify God, and 2, it will keep my sister's memory alive. But there's a lot of rumors, I think, for anyone that knows my sister, as to her emotional state the day of her death. And I just want it to be set straight that my sister was hurting. She was just hurting so bad. She was hurting so bad because she loved her family so much. And she was hurting. She was not on a high. Toxicology report even said that. She was just hurt. So I just want that to be said. I just want to try to see if I can do anything in my life to make a difference in someone else's life from hurting. And I think we can. I think as human beings, we can reach out to other human beings and we can help them not to hurt, and we can give them second chances. And one day I'll be with my sister again. One day I will, and I'll get to tell her what I did. I get to tell her what God did with me. And the women that sat in a house that was in her memory, she'll be proud. She'll be so grateful. She won't even be able to believe it. She'll be so humbled. I guess some people don't understand why I named this ministry Alicia's Legacy. She was an addict that took her life by suicide. But that's not her legacy. And I'm revamping her legacy. And I'm just showing people that she was a human with a heart, and it hurt. And she didn't want to be an addict. And she loved her family. So now her legacy is a legacy of second chances.